Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to another day. And you're here with Najma Ansari, and we're looking at love reading. So I'm using this opportunity in our productive time in Ramadan to just bring you a little clip on briefly to entice you and hoping to get us interested in reading, learning more about our own history. That's a passion for me. But here today I've got another beautiful book, and it's called 1001 Inventions, and it's Muslim heritage in our world. And this is, I should have told you yesterday, I think I looked at the Muslim 100, and that was, it's always good to know the publishers of where it came out from, and it was the Cube. It seems to be a new publishing company. I wasn't familiar with it. But again, it's always nice to go look, was it published in Malaysia? They're very prolific there, and other things. This one happens to be called, their website is www.muslimheritage.com and www.1001inventions.com. So that's where it comes. And the beautiful thing is, it was such a success, the book came out first, that they've actually got like a floating museum, and they take it to other places. So they have listed here 1001 inventions of our Muslim heritage in our world, and to take us through. Before that, yes, it's good to know it was published in England. There was a whole very big sort of group, you know, a board and this and that, and how it came out. And so the British Association of Advancement of Science also was sort of like welcome it, and many people supported it. Even the non-Muslims or something. I do like to also just see that, you know, if it's supported by governments and this, then obviously sometimes you wonder if there's an agenda. So that's, I'm just sharing with you the kind of things when you pick up a book, to have the familiarity of looking at where did it emanate from? Who was it, you know, was it sponsored by this group or that group? It's just good to give yourself a clarity and just to place yourself. It doesn't mean that we're always judging. It doesn't mean, I mean, they've produced this book. Who am I to be judging them, to say what a marvelous thing they have? But again, just to give you overviews on books, what are the kind of things, you know, and I always use example, not that I'm one, but in recipes, you're always looking, oh, but is it this? Is it keto friendly? Is it this friendly? Is it that friendly? Whatever you look, whatever information you have, you're able to apply it holistically. So too with books, you need to be doing that. And many people say, no, if our sheikh or he doesn't recommend the book, then we're going to stay away from it. I think in a broader way, you know, we don't go to a sheikh to check on the recipe. We don't, you know, for everything. So we need to take some personal responsibility or find it in yourself enough confidence to be able to pick up a book and be able to say, yes, this looks like worth reading. Sometimes if you're not sure, especially with non-Muslims authors, I would say check out with whoever you hold in esteem, whoever is your guru, your, you know, somebody you look up to within the Islamic fold, and ask them, what do you think about that? Many times they wouldn't know it as well, but do your research before, but don't be always negative about, no, I'm not going to pick up this book. It's haram. That's not what we are about to do. So I'm only sharing with you Muslim related books, 90% done by Muslim, maybe some by not. But that is the beauty of opening our mind. And you know, when we say things like duas like Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli, those themselves that open my chest, make me speak properly, but then also let me imbibe what comes to me with a idea, with the eye filled with Iman. So that's where, that was just an unnecessary prelude to it. This beautiful book starts with, it's divided into chapters on, so always look at the chapters in the beginning, it gives you a very good overview. So here what it says is, it says all the inventions we've done within the home, for the school, for the marketplace, for the hospital, for the town, civic planning and things for the world and for the universe. And the kind of the ones I would like to look, so they said coffee. Coffee supposedly was not invented but discovered by Muslims, and how it goes up to say that you can read it on your read it yourself, but it says that where there was a coffee trail. So in other words, so many more than 1,200 years ago, people, hardworking people, found it difficult to stay at night. Without a stimulant. And then they noticed that there was a herd of goats who used to meander on these mountains. And in what area was this? On the Ethiopian slopes. And that they would stay up a lot throughout the night. And so they discovered that they became lively and excited because they ate a particular berry. So then this is the beauty of Muslims. Then we research, we go in depth. We don't just listen to hearsay. So they did this. So Sufis in Yemen drank the qahwa. That's where it came from, and stay up in dhikr for prayers to Allah. And maybe in Ramadan it's very appropriate to have that qahwa, and many of us do have coffee at night, and to stay. And so this is how the first coffee house, the concept of coffee was discovered by the Muslims, and then they brought it to Europe, and then we had as far as in the 1700s. There was a coffee shop in England, London, and supposedly it's still there. And so what does it do? It gives us a good feeling that this was a discovery coffee. Everybody has cappuccino, cafe latte, this and that, and all the rest. But it was a discovery made by Muslims. So that's just the one. On home, there is some, I think we kind of extrapolate from a small thing. We say, oh, well, you see, so it was us who did it. So there. The clocks, supposedly one of the very fancy ones, it's in some museum still. I think they say it's in a museum at in Dubai, in the Ibn Battuta Mall. The elephant clock has been reconstructed. So it's very ornate, this and that. You know, the ball goes there, then it goes there, maybe every second, every whatever. But it's just interesting to know for those who are interested in technology. I'm not able to express that in fully of how it did. But the concept of cleanliness, the water systems, a lot of that was done by the Muslim. Moving on to the schools, this very well now. It's been going around that the universities, when you graduate, and what the gown and everything else that people we still wear now when we graduate, all that came ultimately from. It was from the Muslims, because we had. So now I'm trying to skip read or skim read, but that all came from us. So it goes on to say even libraries, the gowns that we wear, all that has an Islamic traditional background. So you can read, you can Google, but it's lovely that in this book it gives you a lot of that detail. Then on to the marketplace, the water management, ecology, so much so, the first university, they say, if I'm not mistaken, was in Algeria by the universities, let me just see. It was first, the very first one was by this lady in Morocco or Algeria. And I'm sorry, I haven't got the reference right, but read on that again as well, that it came from there. The House of Wisdom and these things in the time of Harun al-Rashid, Mamun, it was a great development. So all what we brought in education of collection of information of the Greek, the Plato, the Socrates, Aristotle, whatever, all the things which got translated in Arabic, then they were taken by the Umayyads to Spain when we had the rule in Spain. That's when things got translated. The Europeans needed to know Arabic to learn, and they translated it. A lot of it happened in Sicily, in further north, in Toledo. So I'm just throwing these names again for you to realize how much heritage we have been responsible in giving. Yes, we can also go back. What are we doing today? And what is that? That's fair enough, because somewhere, again, this idea of having an inquiring mind, of opening your mind to be listening, and you don't know which grandchild of which person might have that inquiring mind. So instead of stunting growth and stunting knowledge, we really need to be a little bit more trusting in Allah and asking, seeking Allah. Allah give me ilman nafian wa rizqan. There's a beautiful dua on that level, but about giving me, good sustenance, tayyib sustenance, useful knowledge, and so on. So go with that mind. Don't be fearful. We can't go around living in life being fearful. This is haram, this is fitna, this is the... Yes, the fitnas have lived all the time. Was there any less fitna in the time of Lut alayhi salam? Was there any less fitna what the Pharaoh did of killing of children? So that, every generation has that. But we need to go beyond and have that tawakkul. Allah's on top of that. Allah's on top of that. What's happening in Palestine? And yet, is that bad? Is that bad? And yet there is this firm conviction of Allah is in charge. Allah is in charge. We know whether He's sifting out A from B, from the Muslim lands which are not saying anything, from South Africa who is taking it to the ICC or ICJ, and so on. So be trusting of that, of knowledge, and I'm digressing again, but even in hospital, of the instruments, the surgery, the blood, Ibn Sina's book, and who is it who did the Qanun? If it's Ibn Sina who did his book on Qanun, which is the medical canon, which was still till as late as the 17th, 18th century, used from the Muslims. So again, I'm not, going through each chapter or each one, but I'm hoping that I'm instilling enough interest for you to want to read books like this, 1,000, and again, a beautiful coffee table in your house, book to have, and to be sharing with children, maybe go through it each day of what did we do, how were the hospitals came. So, we did a lot of good stuff, and other than just the feel-good moment, let that be an inspiration for us. So let me just discover, why does this happen? How do algorithms work? What is going on now in social media? And a lot of Muslims have managed to do a lot of good work of how do things work? How do we learn to have greater impact? Instead of always being at the receiving end of, once we know something, then we take it on, whether it's AI, whether other things. How can we tweak it for our benefit? How can we make it work for us? I mean, even this, I know there's a whole thing against the big tech companies and how they're monopolistic or something. Now, if we could have a search engine, a Muslim search engine, which will sift away all the garbage, because, algorithms and all this is the more people search. If you search on, you can even do it, search on Jerusalem and what it says, the capital of what, and you can actually have a choice. I disagree, and you can go and put Jerusalem as the capital of Palestine. Now, these sort of things, we have to use what we have available, the search engines, and then do it. Now, couldn't we be making, based on what we are seeing of whatever discoveries we made, whether on the land, on the sea, in the universe, of, discoveries, inventions are ongoing. Allah in His world, subhanallah, how beautiful His world is, and there's always something new. I mean, 30 years ago, when we had the phone, then we had the cordless phone. That was a big invention. Otherwise, it was this dialing this way. So as things are progressing, can we be more forward thinking? Yes, we know our history, where we are, how we are, but have it, listen, this seems to be the next technological thing that's going to move. And I'm not tech savvy at all. I'm just using that as an example. But so from there, the book at the end has a timeline on our Islamic developments, European developments, of map of our contribution, and so on. So with that, here's a beautiful book to be looking at. It talks about it at the back. Again, like I said, always read the back and the front. So this is the book. Strongly recommended that we have it in our shelves or in our coffee table for our children, for ourselves, and so on. So with that, I end off this love reading session with you, and may something resonate for you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.